Hello and welcome to the Ireland on the Fly podcast about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland. As we head into the final days for most of you for the game fishing season, this week we find out about the Boyne fishery and the superb brown trout fishing to be had on the Trim Athboy Angling Club waters. Tommy Keogan is a stalwart of the club and he talks to us about how the club manages its 8 miles of waters as well as his love of fishing the loughs and why this year was a particularly good one for him. Well, we're keeping an ear out for Tommy's incredible catches that he did have earlier in the season. But before we hear from Tommy, Tom, I suppose news about from the Aquaculture Licensing Appeals Board. This is in relation to the fish farm Ballinskelligs Bay, which is of course just outside Waterville, Lough Curran. And you might just give us the news on that.
Yeah, we just got wind of it there. I think, Billy Smith has been on to us. And this he only got in the last day or two. It's basically what they've done is the ALAB, which is the Aquatic Licenses Appeal Board, I think, have overturned the minister's decision regarding this fish farm. So, and this is the one that is the problem with there was gross overstocking on, amongst other things. Yeah, it's a bit of a sucker blow for Southwest and Lough Curran that this has happened.
And just to remind people, this was the fish farm. They call it Danish Island. It's a site east of Danish Island, Ballinskelligs Bay, which obviously salmon and sea trout that would be going into Lough Curran would be swimming past there. Minister at the time in 2019, he suspended their license for overstocking by 121% the tonnage of what they were taking out from there. So they were suspended. They immediately appealed it. Maui, of course. Maui were the biggest aquaculture.
But remember, we discussed their suspension before, and basically it was very much as was. Because
exactly. So they
it wasn't really.
So it was going through the courts, and then the court sent it to ALAB. And while this suspension was, or the appeal was ongoing against the suspension, they were still allowed to continue as was with the license in place. So that was 6 years ago. And when we spoke to John Murphy from Saltmarsh Ireland to find out about it, it was still ongoing.
So it's like getting a 3-match ban, okay? But been allowed to play those 3 matches, okay? You know?
Yeah, I know the CCCCCCCC of the GA would have nothing on these guys, like. So it's so the decision was announced that they decided to overturn the minister's decision from 2019. So which basically means the fish farm in Ballinskelligs Bay outside Waterville and Lough Curran is allowed to continue. So despite their previous overstocking of 121% that resulted in a suspension, the first time ever a government minister had suspended their license after 6 years, that has been overturned. So yeah, another kick in the teeth for anglers, for environmentalists, for
Curran,
for Waterville, for ordinary, sane, decent people.
Yeah.
So that is that. It's I think we'll try and talk to Billy maybe or John
That'd
Murphy
be good,
maybe next week
would
just to kind of delve a bit more, because I think from the reading of that, it's if you want to have a look at it, everybody, it's alab.ie and click on active appeals. There's all documents and legalese, but basically, and even the latest notice was written to Billy Smith confirming, it's very legalese. I refer to the notice of appeal regarding the above decision, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it's the main reasons are set out in detail and reports referred to in the determination are available. So basically, the suspension has been overturned. So basically, they did. So the next, and if you read underneath that, is a person wishing to challenge the validity of the determination of the board may do so by way of judicial review only pursuant to blah, 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 blah. So it looks like Saltmarsh Ireland are going to have to take it to the courts.
Yep.
And we'll talk to John, Billy, hopefully on that next week, find out a bit more.
Yeah. So that's all we can do to get an update on it then.
Yeah, exactly. So How's the fishing
On
been,
on
Tom?
other news,
Yeah.
so I'm waiting to see, will Hurricane Dara appear on Monday? For those of you, just to fill all the listeners in, so Dara is due up to fishing in the Corrib on Monday, and we have a great record this year. 3 days planned, 3 days cancelled, two for
Oh,
storms,
for sure.
one for a heat wave. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So, God, it's the luck of the gods at this stage, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I've actually, there is a storm I see coming in on Monday evening. I'm watching it, and I know it
seriously?
hasn't. There is actually. I've christened it Hurricane Dara, just myself.
Jesus Christ. You're kidding me. You're actually kidding me.
No, just looking here actually. So Coramona on XC. Uh, you're okay yet? It's gusting to 52 kilometers, but only at 10 o'clock on Monday evening. That's currently. That's as
Yeah, but we've a
recharged.
whole we've a whole
Yeah, it
five
could come
days to
closer.
go.
It could come closer.
Oh, sweet Jesus Christ! Like that's just sure. It's even like with my triathlons, like actually, like the last two, as we were chatting, like it's like
Yeah, you were saying you got out of
hurricane.
jail with the last one, didn't you?
Yeah, I got COVID, which meant, but again, it was like 6 foot waves, like you know what I mean? Oh,
Mm.
stop! Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we should look. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's very tough at the moment on carbs. Get lucky, get into a couple of patches of good fish. But on the whole, fishing has slowed down after the lake has risen. On the whole.
About because I did want to talk to you a bit more about kind of September fishing on the lake. Now I know it's the last kind of few days for most people, end of September. Do you find generally like the start of September is kind of a good time? It's like are they coming on the feed briefly in advance of kind of spawning and winter?
They
Like,
get more active. I don't know if they're coming on the feed because I think at
mm,
that stage, I think they've all the fat put on that they need
mm,
at that stage. I think, if you almost compare them to like sea trout, that have all of what they need at that stage, but
mm,
will eat occasionally. So I don't think feeding is paramount in their mind, but they are still feeding. But
mm.
what happened the last couple of years, we've got a belt of rain at various parts of September, and that really affects a lot of fish have run the rivers. And I know I've seen them. I've seen videos of parts of one of the rivers here stuffed with fish.
So, yeah, it's almost like kind of salmon is in a way, like isn't it like that the water comes in and that basically causes them to run? Is it like?
Yeah, it causes them to run, it causes them to move as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
prior to the rain coming, I think I might have said it. I found fish on the deeps
Mm.
here on Car, and it was fantastic, and they were there and staying there. And then the rain came, and sayonara, they were gone.
So it's almost as if you want to just time it before that big blast of rain
Yeah,
comes in, whatever that is. But then the flip side of it is, and it's funny. I remember like I was fishing with you and David and Cara was probably maybe the start of maybe mid September, and it was
yeah,
Costa del
yeah,
Carib. So like, there's
yeah,
also the chance of a heat wave, like, and
yeah.
then it's going to be
So
completely dead anyway. Like,
yeah, yeah. At
uh,
least at least
so,
if you get rough weather, you'll have a chance. Yeah, but September is very much. You see, the hatches are very limited in September. Okay, so a few sedges, few spots get olives. Daddy longlegs have been non-existent this year. Actually, that's one thing I've
hmm,
really noticed. And talking to a lot of people, no daddy longlegs. Mike Shanks went to go picking daddy longlegs because he was dapping last Monday. It's somebody out, and one daddy longlegs has only got in his garden. So,
oh
like, not normally you would have a lot of terrestrials in daddy longlegs, so that would be
yeah,
good. And then coupled with a couple of hatches. Now, the hatches have been very poor this September up at this part of the lake. So, if you've no hatches, right, there's no reason for them to come up, and they're not. Yeah, it can be tough.
what about streamers in September?
Yeah, streamers are working. Like, to be honest, with you, I've always used. I have used minkies a lot. And a couple of years ago, I had a really good September on minkies. Now, I have, and a lot of guys that know this from talking to me, I have used a couple of the streamers. We did a morning last Saturday. You had to cancel Saturday because the afternoon part was really bad. So a couple hours free in the morning. So we actually tried streamers, myself and Barry Malloy, and Keats streamers and the articulator
Mm.
ones. So it's something I have to get into more. I've been chatting to Keith. It's it's getting the time to do it and trying it out myself. We've no joy. but it was as much to get used to fishing them from a boat and
Hmm.
the whole thing behind it. And as soon as the wind started to get up then, which was the reason I wasn't bolting. And to be honest, they became a nightmare to cast once the wind was in any way strong and we had to stop.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Fair
yeah,
point.
it's
Yeah.
something. It's a thing I want to learn more about. I think I
Hmm.
want to do more about it. Once again, is to get the time. But
Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
have to
yeah,
work. And we were in a place that we saw some absolute belters jumping.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
knew they were
yeah,
there.
yeah. And
Knew
especially
they
if
were
the
there.
hatches are sporadic or less so in certain months, maybe
Yeah.
that's the time to kind
A
of
lot of the
target
time in
them.
September, you're looking for, fish show up and they get active. A lot of the
Mm.
takes are aggressive and
Mm.
they're competition takes. They're in amongst themselves, you know?
So that's the time for the streamers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's time for the streamers are just, yep, hoping that they'll belt out of them. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
like, because it's one of the methods I really want to find out more about.
And so, come here. Are you? Will you be? Are you looking forward to the end of September counting
Uh,
down? Like,
yeah, to be honest, yeah, I'll be looking to, I'll do a few days, doing the last couple of days in Sheelan, which actually we haven't even discussed Sheelan with what happened there. That's another thing. Hopefully we'll talk about that again. But last weekend, just for ourselves, a bit of fishing. There's a couple of lakes in Connemara that are open to the 12th. I'll fish them. But I am kind of looking forward to it. At this stage now. You'd be fairly whacked.
yeah,
Fairly
yeah,
whacked now.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
You'll pull the boats in, and
Pull the boats in, put the feet up. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
So,
nights are drawing
crawl.
in.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's it. Good
That's it.
stuff. Right. Well, sure. Look, we'll have more news next week, as we said. Hopefully on the fish farm decision in relation to Ballinskelligs Bay. But look, let's get back to.
And don't forget, sorry, we'll have an
Oh,
update on Hurricane Dara.
I'm not even going to jinx it at this stage. Like, I think I'll just text you on Monday morning, and that'll be my best hope at this stage. Like, oh, stop. But look, let's get back to fishing anyway. And this week's guest, Tommy Kyogan from the Trim Athboy Anglers Club, who first told us about how his 2025 season fared.
It's been a good season for me, but it's a tough season. I mean, the conditions have been against us throughout the season with heat waves and low water levels. That always makes it challenging, and that's what we've been dealing with throughout the season. Like the Boyne fishery there, we open March 1st until September 30th, and this year the water levels were quite good early season, and early season we have the river's clean. There's no weeds around, so it's great for casting your wet flies, your nymphs. We get some early hatches of olives, and sport can be good. But then I think we got a bit of a flood through the latter end of March, and when the high water comes, it kind of shuts down, naturally enough. So went into April there. April wasn't too bad. I do a lot of fishing now. I do a good bit of fishing on some of the tributaries. When the main river's high, I like to fish the tributaries. The trout are small, but they're fun, and they're willing to take a fly because there's no pressure on them. Uh, and then May came, and May was a heat wave, as we can all probably remember. It was just bright sun, blue skies, and little or no wind. So it was hard on the river, hard on the lakes, and it was just been tough. A tough spring and into the summer there. It was tough, you know.
Mm, mm. And the last few weeks, how's it been for you?
The last few weeks, I've done very little river fishing. Most of my fishing was done on the lakes. I was with Tom for a few days, and it was tough. Conditions were great those couple of days with Tom. We were moving a lot of fish. We got a few small fish, but they just weren't intent on taking our fly really. Coming up, having a look, and then they disappear again. But at least when you're moving them, it's something. It keeps you focused.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'd say. Because I've had days where you'll move very little, and God, they're hard.
Mind you, that did buck the trend that you only caught small fish, though, Tommy.
Yeah,
It did.
I believe, Tommy, you're kind of underselling yourself a bit now.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I was at the. Tom, there was a couple of occasions there now. I was at the Melvin Open there, and I've been doing that competition for about 15 years now, and it's a fantastic competition. I'd highly recommend it to anyone to go along. You don't even really have to like your competitions. It's a day out fishing. You're meeting someone new. The way they do it is you're drawing with someone else, and generally the person knows the lake. And it's a great day out. Melvin, it's a fantastic fishery. The club run it well. And I happen to be drawn with Sean Maguire this year. So Sean would be well
Darren's
known up
dad.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be well known up there. He knows the lake inside out. So I knew when I saw the draw, I had the right man for the day anyway. And in fairness, we went out. We had our few keepers for the competition pretty early on, so we could relax for the day. And Sean was saying, look, if we can get a fifth fish today, we might actually win the heat. And I was like, yeah, great. Look, I'm easy going when I'm fishing. I'm happy to do whatever the boatman wants to do. And we're checking a few areas and trying different spots. And the afternoon, about 3:30, it just cast a fly out. It was a booby dabbler claret, if anyone's wondered. And just started to retrieve. Next thing I seen the bow wave come after it. And next thing it just tightened up. And I was like, okay, Sean, we've a good fish on here. I thought it was a better Sonahan. Then I thought it was maybe two Sonahan, the way it was fighting. Then it came up beside the boat and exploded the water. And we were like, oh, this is something bigger altogether. And Sean says, this could be a salmon. I was like, oh, Christ, of all days to catch a salmon in a trout competition, you know? But after about 8-9 minutes, we've managed to net him. And geez, she was 6.5 pounds. I couldn't believe it. Like, it's a massive wild trout off Melvin. I never thought I'd catch anything like that off a Loch Melvin, because you're fishing for fish that are maybe 11, 12 inches, 13 inches if you're lucky, these Sonahans. So to get something like that was just fantastic. And I was absolutely blown away. And it was great for Sean. And so it was a fantastic achievement. Now, really
It's a
happy with
cracking
that.
fish, yeah.
I don't know. Is that the that's our most memorable fish in the fly question? I think
hold on,
answered,
sure.
is it?
Jason,
It's all over, is it? We're done.
The lad has only started. Would you let
It's
him go?
only starting.
Sure, since you asked now, let me tell you. Oh my
But
God.
I was lucky that I was with Jackie Mahan last week for a day's fishing with another friend, Declan. And it was a lovely, conditions were quite good. Overcast, nice wave. And with Jackie's a great character. Done a couple of days with him now, really enjoy it. And I managed a nice brown, about 5.5 pound on Loch Arrow. So yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was like, it's just fantastic, you know. For me, a fish of 5 pound anywhere really, but on the lake, it's a cracking trout, you know.
And you like a bit of the buzzer fishing too, don't you?
A bit of buzzer, yeah. The buzzer on lean this year now. Lean has been an interesting year there. I do a lot of fishing on lean, Dara, and it was quite slow this year. It can get good hatches of duckfly, but this year I found the hatches of duckfly were all happening in the open water. They weren't happening along the lake edges or the rush edges where the duckfly holes where you'd normally see them. And you'd drive down to the lake shore, Tommy Fagan's, and there'd be duckfly everywhere. But when you go out to the spots we were looking for them, they just weren't there in the numbers that they were normally there. But what I was noticing was the gulls were eating out in the middle of the water. And when you drive out to the middle of the water, then the lake, you're just seeing duckfly everywhere. So, but you're talking 20, 30 foot of water that they were feeding. For whatever reason, the hatches, that's where they were happening. So it was a tough year with the duckfly. But the buzzer fishing on it this year was phenomenal. It was the best I've seen in years down there. For about a week solid there. We actually had our club competition on it, our lane pairs one, that weekend. It was the last weekend of April, and the fishing was extraordinary. The fish, we were wondering what kind of fish stocks are in the lake when we were showing that weekend where they were. They were all out. They must have all been out kind of in the deeper water, and they just came into the shadows to feed on the buzzer, and it was phenomenal. The fishing, the size of the fish were unbelievable. 3-4 pound was like regular.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, there was lads getting bags of fish for their days fishing. And ball and buzzer for a week. There was ball and buzzer every day, all day. I'd never seen it before. It was fantastic. And it brought up the bigger fish and it kept them there because it was so regular to feed them.
And then after the week, did it just switch off?
It dwindles out like any hatch. It just, every hatch is around a 2-week period. And they begin to peter out and the fish get full. And when they're full, they become picky choosers. They don't have to be too concerned about fattening up or anything like that. But then we were into May, and I had a couple of days booked with the Corb, and it was just slow. You were sitting in a flat calm, bright sun. I was fishing with Barry Malloy one of the day, and instead of mayfly, we were buzzer fishing. And in fairness to Barry, we were moving around a few different spots and got a lovely fish, about 5.25. And but that makes, for me, that made the trip. That was fantastic.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's some haul for the
yeah,
season.
good quality fish, but it's a lot of time put into it for a fish. But I mean, it's you're after a good fish maybe more than a small fish or a bag of fish, you know.
Mm.
So it could be worth doing.
Just returning to the Boyne fishery. What's the kind of size? Any good size fish in the Boyne
In
fishery?
Boyne, in the Trim waters, we've about 8 miles of water, and we've a number of tributaries on our system here. And our average size is anything 8 to 12 inches would be the average stock of fish. There is bigger fish there. Uh, they're often the cutest fish, so they're hard to get. But we've had fish to 3. We've a committee member there, Andrew Dempsey. He had a cracking fish there about 4 or 5 years ago on a spent, and it was over £4. And so there is a few bigger fish there, but the average size is 8 to 12. And summer's evenings, in July, you'll get them maybe pound and a half, you know, if you stick with it.
But yeah, it sounds like you also like the loughs as well. Like you go out a good
I
bit
do
of the
get
loughs.
torn at times between them both. I enjoy the lakes. Again, the lakes, you're probably chasing your bigger fish. And I enjoy fishing with someone on the lake. It's a great way of catching up with a friend or a day out with someone. And the river, I like, when I'm river fishing, I like going on my own. I like the solitude.
Yeah, it is actually that, isn't it? Like the river is very much solitude, whereas
Yeah,
lakes is
when
social.
I
Like,
go
yeah.
river fishing, I don't really want to see anyone. Yeah.
No, but that's true, and you do enjoy it. And to be honest with you, like, and I know it on the boat. I've enjoyed my river fishing whenever I can go, and it's for that reason that you both said. But like,
Yeah.
I'm not great in a boat on my own, which is
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
different,
not
isn't
like,
it?
yeah, there's something about a boat. I think it's like what you said in a boat. It's good if you're with somebody and you could be
Yeah.
chatting away, you know?
Yeah. And you try different tactics. Like you mightn't be sure what's working. So someone can try a dry, someone can try subsurface, and you kind of figure it out together. But
Mm.
the river then is just, you like your stretch ahead of you. You like to see it on your own. And every time you see a fish rise, you know that he's potentially
Yeah.
your fish and no one else's. You
Yeah.
know?
And tell me this, actually, by the time this episode goes out, there'll be a few days left in the season. Will you get out for the last couple of days, or?
I will. I'll be on the Boyne for a couple of afternoons. I was out this afternoon for a few hours now and got a few fish. It was a bit of sport, and there was good hatch of blue duns happening.
All right.
And yeah, you see them in certain parts of the river. Sometimes when it's a little bit cooler, we see the duns hatch in certain stretches. And it's funny, you can be out on the river and you'll have blue duns hatching on, we say, the right-hand side in a run. And on the left-hand side, you'll have olives. And then the fish will be feeding totally different. You know,
Right.
very specific. And they're bloody
Yeah.
hard. But I find them hard when they're on the blue duns because they're very small. And
What
they
size is the
just,
blue dun?
oh, they're, if you're to imitate them, be 18s to 20s, I think
All right.
they're quite small.
So
And
do you just sort of go, I'll go for the olives on the other side, so
well, I tried them, but then I'm like, yeah, no. If it's after a few casts, if they're not looking, it's just go to the olives. Yeah, you get your bit of sport. You'll get the sport. You want the sport. You want the fun.
Yeah,
and come here, when they were on the blue duns, when the blue duns came up today, did the fish come onto them?
They were slow coming onto them. I was watching
Yeah.
the duns going down a run, and there was a few olives trickling down too. And they'd ignore the olive and they'd take the blue dun. It's incredible the way they focus in on something, you know?
Tell me about quality number of fly hatches, Tommy, over the years. Has it?
This year is quite extraordinary. Even in April, I think the world over, or Ireland anyway, with the hot weather, like there was fly hatches from April. You're cleaning your car windows in April, which
Tom, you were saying that, I think.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we get really good hatches. I like fishing dry fly. That's my number one. That's my go-to on the river. I love my dry. I know the nymphing and it can catch more fish, but I just
the
I'm a
lob.
go.
Sorry, it's on this
we can
program. It's known as the lob.
But listen, everyone to their own. It does catch. It's look, I maybe a bit of dry dropper, but the dry fly for me is just I love fooling them on the dry. But we get straight from the off in the season, lads. We get dark olives, we get medium olives. As you come into May, we get some great mayfly hatches. But it's not throughout the whole hours. We have about an 8 mile stretch, and it's on certain stretches of our river that we get all that the mayfly will hatch. And so upper section, you'll get great hatches of mayfly. Their lower section, it'll probably be more your olives and your midge in May. And then as you head into June, you get your sedge. The grey flag would be a big one on the Boyne here. And sedge hatches can be really good in the evening. Especially this year, I've seen clouds of sedges, which I hadn't seen in a long time. And we get great hatches of pale wateries, blue-winged olives, and they lead on to your sherry spinner and your spinners then in the evening time.
Yeah.
And that can go on for a couple of months. That can go right into August area with that type of feeding. So they've plenty of variety, plenty of food, and we have a lot of bulrushes in the river, which is a problem, I suppose, countrywide. I know you've had George on before referring to it, but when you pull up one of these bulrushes, you see the amount of larvae on it. It's absolutely, it's stuff. It's all midge, but the fish go on them. The fish love them.
And it's obviously then good stock of fish there.
We have the Trim Waters has a great stock of fish. I know Dr. Martin O'Grady, who's since passed, but he did a survey back in 2011 on the Boyne system. And between the Knightsbrook River, the Trimblestown, and the Stonyford Anglers, they're a separate club, but it flows into our channel there. It accounted for like 66% of the whole Boyne stock. So within 7 miles of river, we account for 66% of the whole Boyne stock. Because the trout don't generally breed in the main channel. They're all breeding on the tributaries. And so we have a lot of maybe small trout. That could be one reason. We have a lot of small trout in the area. But there's some days you walk the river and you think there's nothing in it. And then you go out that evening and the place is boiling. So, but again, it's fishing. It's down to conditions. You know, good conditions will give you good fishing. As simple as that.
Sorry, but I remember Tommy telling me before that about that survey, and it was. I found it very interesting because you said that Dr. Martin O'Grady found from that the majority of the fish only spawn in the tributaries, and really, you know, that and that's the lifeblood of the Boyne River. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, it is those tributaries that supply the trout to the river.
Yeah, it's a fact. And we've had a Martin O'Grady there back in 2012, 13, 14. They did a lot of rehabilitation work on the Trimbletown River and the fisheries board since. And it's Robert and Maureen there of IFI along with OPW. And I know IFI and OPW can get bad press at times. But in the last number of years, they've been working very well with the trim anglers and other clubs around the country, and they've been doing rehabilitation works. And it has been paying off. You see it, certainly in the salmon. You count the reds there after the works have been done. And there's a huge difference. Like they're natural hatcheries, and you won't beat a natural hatchery. And there's no real maintenance required, like in terms of you need someone there 24/7. Nature looks after itself. You just might have to re-rake it every couple of years to keep the gravel loose for them. But they've done tremendous work, and my hats are off to them. Like they've been great to deal with in that terms, you know. But the work they do, and they're continuing to do it, it's the future for any river system, I believe, you know.
You mentioned salmon there, Tommy. Is there much salmon on the stretch for you?
I don't salmon fish, but they do come up when the water levels are right. When the water levels are right. I think further downstream with nav and anglers and below, they probably get maybe the cream of the salmon fishing. There is salmon above, don't get me wrong, but I don't fish for them. So you had Pat O'Toole on before. He's certainly the man to talk when it comes to salmon. He's definitely the knowledgeable one.
And tell me this, just in terms of obviously where the Boyne is and the land, you know, there's a lot of farming, good farmland around there. Do you find in terms of like runoff or, you know, water quality, is it an issue that you have to keep an eye on, or?
It's a constant worry. And as I suppose we've seen certainly this year with Loch Sheelan and the Blackwater, it's, you know, you're kind of in DEFCON 5 here, especially with hot weather and low water levels. You're always concerned. We have water treatment plants, we have sewage plants. You're always keeping an eye out. It's hard. It's hard. You're hoping something never happens, but you just don't know.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, touch wood, fingers crossed, and everything else. Like the very fact that the stocks are so good in terms of the wild fish that you have there, that they're holding up, and the water
they're
quality.
holding up, thankfully. Yeah, we haven't had any issues. thankfully. But it's not to say one won't happen. It's you're on a hairline with this stuff. It's so tight. If something
Yeah.
goes wrong, you're in trouble.
I suppose like what happened with the
Yeah.
Blackwater could maybe have happened in any other
It can
big
happen
river.
anywhere where there's water treatment plants, and if they're not up to a certain standard, that's where the trouble starts. And there's lads out there in the background who are constantly working on these things and trying to showcase where the water treatment plants are maybe falling down on, and to make sure that they're updated, to put the pressure on the relevant authorities, because if there's no pressure put on them, they won't do anything with them, and that's where trouble starts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But in terms of how many members have you got like in the club and
Our club, we're averaging in around the 200. Generally, every year you lose some, you gain some, but we're always in or afloat around the 200 members.
Right.
The club is quite active. I mean, at the start of the year, you have every club, suppose you have your AGM. That's something we look forward to. It's a gathering and it's information sharing and what's been happening last year and what the plans are maybe for this year. So we always start with our AGM, and then we lead into, we do a river cleanup nearly every year. So we've a WhatsApp group for the members, and we meet up and we kind of just do a river cleanup along the banks while the levels of grass are low and the growth hasn't started. It's easy to pick the litter up. And that's in conjunction with Trim Tidy Towns there, because they'll come and they'll take the rubbish off us and take it away, dispose of it.
Cool.
What we do then is in the spring, we usually have a loch pairs competition. We do that down in Collinstown. And we started doing that competition for lads who are in the club, rivermen, who haven't really lake fished but would like to. So we do a draw of boatmen and non-boatmen. So they're drawn with lads that are kind of experienced on the lake and would have a knowledge of it. And it's the heaviest fish to the boat, but it's in the boatman's interest to have that man fishing with what's working. They're not competing against each other, they're working with each other. And it's a fantastic day out. It's a fun day out. It's social. And like the feedback you get from some of the members, and they look forward to it every year. And for some of them, it's the biggest fish they'll catch that year. When they're on the lake, and it's laying, there's some stock rainbows, browns, but there's wild browns in it too. But you're catching fish probably averaging 2-3 pound and more. So it's a fantastic day out, and it's well attended. You get 25, 30 anglers there in our club. And that generally leads into we have 6 competitions, club competitions on the river, 2-day ones and 4 evening ones. And again, they're good social events. We all meet up at the car park to sign in the morning, and there's always crack and banter and that type of thing. And back at the weigh-in, it's the same again, and who's winning, who's not, and who's hiding the fish, who's not hiding the fish, the usual. But they're good social events, and I think for any club, it's important to have social events, because you can have a club that's maybe inactive. Lads don't get to meet each other, talk to each other. But when you have these type of competitions or social events, lads get to interact and meet new people as well. So
I think that's the whole idea of any club, is
Yeah.
that, and I think it's more so like, especially if it's river fishing, where it is, like we said, more likely to be solitary, that you need these kind of events to bring people together,
Yeah.
I think, because obviously, like you said, if you're out in the lake, you're going to be with anybody, but to actually get people together.
Yeah.
I think it is a key thing, like, as well. And then I think as well as it gives people kind of maybe they feel a certain ownership or involvement with the club, isn't it? Like, so they kind
Absolutely,
of
yeah.
get more active in it, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sense of belonging. It is a sense of belonging.
Yes.
You're a
it's like
part of
anything.
something.
Yeah, you're
You're
part
a
of a
part of
community.
something, and that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned there you had 8 miles of river. Is that what you said?
We've about an 8-mile stretch of water. Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
fantastic.
we have some lovely, some fantastic trout water, and it varies. You have your slow, deep water, you have your riffles, you have your fast water stretches. We've about 1 mile of fly only water, and there's fish everywhere on the section on the river. So it's some sections will hold more than others, but yeah, look, we've good fishing. We have some good fishing, good sport to be had.
It won't get crowded. I know 8 miles.
No, it's surprising. We have 200 members, but there's some lads might only fish it a couple of times in the year. I suppose once the river starts getting weedy from June onwards, it can become more difficult, and it's more of a wading river. You have to kind of get in to get the spots. But yeah, like you don't meet too many people on the river. I have to say, it's it is. You get a lot of spots to yourself there.
Yeah, normally there's because I always remember you telling me, Tommy, although it didn't happen this year, but you like your evenings in the summer there.
Oh, I love my evening fishing. Yeah, like I do a bit of river fishing in the spring when the conditions are right, and maybe a bit more lake fishing. But once June comes, I put the lakes behind me, and June, July into August evenings there, it's absolutely fantastic fishing. Yeah, it's great. It's good sport. As I say, I love me dries, so I mean, it's dry fly orientated.
Yeah. Is that your favorite time of year, Tom, is it?
Uh, it's one of them. I mean, they're all. I love March. I love April, May. They all have their plus points. It's. But certainly, I mean, a couple of hours in the evening there in the summer, it's just it's good, great.
Mm.
So tell me, are you a local? Tell us where did your
I
own
am.
interest in?
I'm trim bred. I've been here majority of my life. Like, look, I've lived away down in Shannon. I lived in Dublin. I lived in Canada for a few years there. And but I'm back at home now, and I've been a member of the club for about 30 years, and I've been on the committee for, geez, I'm on the committee maybe 20 of those years now, nearly.
Mm.
So and I'm the secretary. I took over from Pat O'Toole there 3 years ago. So I've been the secretary of the club and the competition secretary as well. So, I'm active in it. And I have to say, it's a very good club, very good committee. Everyone has a role to play in it. That's the thing about this committee. Everyone works and does something involved in the club, which has
Yeah,
it
fair
running
play to you.
really good. Yeah.
You mentioned there actually, sorry, and I have to say fair play to the club because I know clubs are so important. But just back to what you mentioned there, Canada. Did you fish in Canada?
I did. I had, Jesus, I was in Canada for about nearly 5 years.
Oh,
And most of the time I lived in Edmonton, which is northern Alberta. But I got friendly with a couple of Canadians there and who fly fished. And God, now most of the better fishing was certainly towards the south of Alberta. You head for Calgary, the Bow River, and then we were further south, and you're fishing rivers like the the Prairie Creek, the Old Man, the Crow's Nest, the Elk, and they're just incredible. Like, the fishing was out of this world. It was just unbelievable. Now I have to say, it was like we'd be camping out for weekends or go for a week's fishing in the mountains, and you'd wake up in the morning and you'd poke your head out of the tent, and there'd be fecking deer out there, just grazing beside you, and it was just such a great experience. I have to say.
What were you fishing for, Tom?
Generally, you were kind of fishing the species they had over there that as I say, fly wise. There's a few brown trouts in some systems, mainly rainbows, cutthroats. Then they hibernise, and you had a cutbow. Um, you'd have grayling, and so in the northern rivers, you'd have some grayling, and you had whitefish. Well, whitefish were kind of like they were like what do you call the lads out in the ocean there?
herring.
No, they're like
Bonefish?
bonefish. Yes, yeah, they're like the
All right.
bonefish. Yeah,
Okay.
they're like
They
the
are a
bone.
game fish though. They have an adipose fin, don't they?
They
Or
do,
do
they
they?
do. So,
Yeah.
and they readily take a fly. They're
Yeah.
taking your flies. So, yeah. But oh god, the fishing was unbelievable. Like, we just hit it right. Their seasons are somewhat different. Some of their rivers are open all year round. Some of them closed during the spring runoff. So April, May, into June they'd be closed. But the rivers be nearly unfishable anyway with the runoff of the mountains.
So has fly fishing always been there? Like, did you pick it up as a kid? Was it just something then that has always been
I
there throughout your lifetime?
there's in my family, there's nobody who hunted or fished, and like most of the guys I fished with came through a family with hunting, shooting, and fishing. It was more a
Mm.
friend of mine own when I was growing up. His dad, Allo, was a big salmon angler, and I'd often call up to Owen's house on a Monday, as we were only maybe 7 or 8, and I'd often see a salmon there or a trout, and I was just fascinated by it. So I think I started I think I begged my mother to buy me a fishing rod when I was about 10 years of age. And I hadn't a clue what I was at. And I don't know if I still do, but I'm trying. But you used to go out and you'd be watching John Wilson on ITV, I'd be asking my mother, could I stay up to watch John Wilson go fishing?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd be going down to the river I didn't have money for floats, so I'd be robbing empty thimbles out of my mother's sewing box to use as floats,
Brilliant.
and I'd be putting raisins on because I didn't know any different about what the fish would be feeding on. I'm sure I'd
You
be
ever
doing
catching a
that for a
raisin?
couple of years. I wouldn't even be catching a fish, but I'd still be going because I just love to
No.
go out. It was just the challenge of it. I keep going, and but I ended up met a guy when I was thinking about 14 in secondary school, and his dad knew someone, I think, in Southside Anglers, and he said for £50 at the time, you get a rod, reel, line, and some flies. So the two of us, we had part-time jobs. We gave the £50, and we got these, and I still have the rod. It was a damn 9'7" weight. And we went down to the river. It must have been April or May, sure. You were in school. And not that we had a clue how to cast a fly rod or anything, but I remember tying on this fly, which it turned out to be a black pennant, but so I just picked out this fly. And I just, fumbled out the line, and the river would have straightened it up. And next thing I got this little pull, and I reeled it up, and it was a trout about 6 or 7 inches. I thought, this is incredible. This system works better than the other system. I'm never not doing this.
And the Timbles.
The Timbles are gone.
And the raisins.
The Timbles and the raisins are gone. And I'm sticking with the fly. And I didn't know it was a black pennant. It was a black pennant. And I think I kept that on for about 2 years straight because I refused to change it.
That's brilliant. Oh my God. So that was literally
how I got hooked. And I was very fortunate. There was a man in the town, Andy Goger, he was a name, and he took me under his wing and as a teenager, and he showed me how to fly fish and tie flies, and got me into it properly. And once I started realizing what I was doing and the flies that you started catching, your catch rates went up, and you began to learn river craft and all that type of thing,
And was it always brown trout then? Since you didn't catch any salmon on the Timbles, you decided to stick with brown trout, wasn't it?
It was always brown trout. Yeah, I did. Look, I did a bit of piking. You vary your sport when you're young. You're trying everything. But it's the fly that just has me. I just can't. Trout and fly, I just love it. I love it, absolutely.
And Tommy, now you're talking.
I can't stop. It's just an addiction.
It's 2 against 1 now. There.
And tell me this, actually, I always find it fascinating as well that, when there's nobody in your family that's into the fishing or hunting, and I always find it fascinating. It's just, you become the black sheep, just something just sparks inside you, doesn't it? And it just...
Oh, it's hard to explain to anyone what drives you in fishing, in any aspect of fishing, but certainly for us as fly men and trout men, I suppose unless you're doing it yourself, you understand it. I suppose, look, there's always the element of being outdoors and it's fresh air and it's good for you, which it is. But it's just, you never know what's around the next corner, and that's what keeps you going. The next cast, the next fish.
Yeah.
It's hopeful. You're always casting for hope here.
Casting for hope, yeah, very true. Well, more so if you're a salmon angler, I think,
possibly in these days.
Yeah, very much so.
Tell me this, will you, in the winter, go out, do a bit of pike as well, or do you hang the rods up?
I might do a day or two, but generally the winter time I put all the rods away, and I'll work all winter, and I'll kind of build up a bit of extra time for the time off in the spring and summer. That's how I operate now.
You're that type where you will try and work around your holidays.
Yeah, I'll
your
work around my season. Yeah, I'll work my season. Yeah.
During the season, how many times would you be going out a week?
As I say to people, I fish a 40-hour week.
Do you ever do overtime though?
When it's needed, yeah.
Okay.
When I'm struggling and I need the extra hours, the extra pay,
you can take it. Yeah,
I can take it. Yeah,
you can take it.
Exactly.
So tell me, so I know we're finishing next week, but you're up, you still have another 22 days.
We have till the 12th of October here. That's right. So that's on the lakes. Our river closes September 30th.
The river closes. So for what's ahead of you, you might get out the river once or twice.
I'll do a couple of afternoons in the river, and I'll probably, as I say, I live close enough to Lough Lane there in Collinstown, so I'll probably concentrate my efforts there.
You go to Lane.
I love Collinstown. Is a great fishery. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and there's good sport to be had on it.
So that's it. You won't bother with any of the others. You just stick with
probably
Lane.
Not. Now look, I've maybe a day on Owl, maybe a day in Sheelan. I suppose if Lane is fishing, I find it hard to come away from it.
Yeah.
But if it's a struggle, and if sometimes Lane isn't fishing and Owl is, or Sheelan is, so I mean, you're going to go where you're going to find opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's also the beauty where you're situated, because you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only within an hour of all those lakes, so I'm lucky that way, But I really have to say, Lane has been good to me. It's been good to our club, And it's great. It's great for learning different methods as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a great old fishery. Great old
Yeah.
fishery. So listen, Tommy, it's been absolutely great talking to you. But just before we let you go, we're gonna ask you the question. Now you have been prompted. So, but just will you let us know what has been your most memorable fish on the fly?
And after hearing what you told us earlier, Tommy, I'm very interested now to.
Yeah, I said
Well,
you up the ante.
No, up the ante.
The bar
No,
is here now.
It's not my biggest fish, but it's probably it's the one that always comes to mind, and it's probably my first 2-pounder on the river. For me, again, when I was talking earlier, sizes, 5 pound a lay. But for a river, 2-pound trout to me is it's the creme de la creme. So I think the first time I caught a 2-pound trout in the river, and I was only maybe in my second season with the man I mentioned earlier, Andy. And it was a July evening, and we walked about 1.5 miles outside the town downriver. And walking home, it was probably one of my first proper evening fishing out later. And I don't think I told my parents that I'd be out so late. I think I'd meet Andy at 6 or 7 and we go, but my parents probably didn't realise much about this late night fishing. And I recall being down the Dublin Road and we decided to finish up at about 11:30 and 1.5 miles walk ahead of us. And as we were walking up, I could see a pool and the moon was bright and I could see a couple of rings in it. And I said I'd have a go, and I cast the grey flag in, and I think second cast, boom, I struck into this fish and it turned out to be 2 pounds. I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe this. My first 2-pound trout, and that's a great river trout. And by the time I got home, it was nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. And my mother had my father walking the streets and the river banks looking for me because they were worried sick. So as much as they were giving out to me, I had this prize in my hand and I didn't really care what was happening. It was worth too much to me. So for that reason, it always sticks in my mind about my first 2-pound trout and
That's
my parents walking the streets looking for me at the same time.
They knew you had it bad, like.
They knew at that stage then, yeah, I was fecked. I had it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Missing. Have you seen Tommy? Last seen playing a 2-pound trout.
2-pound trout. Yeah. Yeah.
Well worth it.
It was,
Well, listen,
absolutely.
Tell me if I suppose do you do day tickets as well for the Trim Athboy?
Yeah, we have a website. So anyone who wants to go have a look, trimathboyanglers.net. It's a great website. We're always updating it. We have day tickets available. I think we do up to 8 day tickets a day, and they're available to the end of the month. And it's well worth a trip down for days fishing. Absolutely, yeah. My number's on it as well as the other committee members there. If anyone's wondering what the fishing's like at the time before they buy a ticket, give me a call. And tell you what's happening, where it's happening.
And actually, I want to say somebody's listening to this and they're kind of in the Trim region, close enough, and they decide, I wouldn't mind having a go at that fly fishing lark. What's the best thing you think they should do? Should they maybe book a lesson with an instructor
give me
first?
A call. I always say, I do often meet young fellas on the river, and I say if they're interested in learning fishing, get their parents to give me a call. And I've had a few adults come to me as well. I meet them down at the river, and I just run through the setup for fly fishing and the type of things they should be doing, looking out for. And if they're interested, then where to buy. And like Southside Anglers has been good to the club as well. And they don't have to be spending a lot of money. Just get the bare minimum and get started and progress from there. But I'll meet someone, no problem, go through a few things and help them along the way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing about fly fishing, I find, isn't it? Generally, anyway, especially with the clubs, you'll always find people are willing to help out. For newcomers to the sport as well. So,
well, you're right. It's the future of the sport, Dara. You're passing on knowledge to keep it going.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help or information.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, no, we're quite good in the club here now, yeah.
Yeah, well, brilliant. So, listen, it's been brilliant finding out, and I look forward to hearing how if you can top 2025, Tommy, because it's been some season for you.
That's why we keep going for 26. We'll be always trying to top that.
Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and up. Tommy, thanks a million for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us here. Thank you.
Our thanks to Tommy for joining us on the show. And don't forget to rate, review and follow the Ireland on the Fly podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Plus, you can keep up to date on IrelandOnTheFly.com as well as on Instagram. And myself and Tom will be back with another episode about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland.